Well, hello, everybody. My name is Will Marsh. I'm the Director of Education here at Premier Research Labs, and I want to extend a warm welcome to you for joining us on our Premier Living podcast. I have a very special guest. Her name is Julie E. She has been a distinguished member of our Premier Health Practitioner family for many, many years, actually before I even started here at Premier Research Labs. And I'm so excited to have Julie on as we're talking about nutrition through the life cycle. And Julie, I just want to say first and foremost, thank you for joining, and thank you for really supporting your clients and the world to a better tomorrow. If you don't mind, would you be willing to share just a brief introduction about you, your background, and really how you got started with Premier Research Labs?
Sure. I started teaching fitness when I was 16 in high school. I started working at a gym and ended up eventually getting a master's in nutrition and public health. I ended up back in a gym and moved my way to California, and I found a practitioner that did a lot of weird things. And he said, "You have to come to this conference with me." And it was a Premier Research Labs conference. And the rest is history. That's been about 20 years. And so now, I guess, when people ask me what I do, it's hard to describe. A lot of my clients just call it magic. And I use QRA and functional medicine, nutrition, functional health, functional fitness, and just help people heal and feel better.
Can you talk, would you be willing to share a little bit about the magic that you were exposed to here at Premier Research Labs and how that's changed how you approach health with yourself and with clients?
Absolutely. It has become the backbone of what I do. Just using the O-ring, energy testing. Your body has its own built-in lie detector test. And when we tap into that, we can find out instantly what's going on in someone's body. We don't have to wait a week to get the lab test done and 2 weeks to get the results. Like, we could actually heal people and treat people instantly. So when people walk into my office, they sometimes come in with a blanket and tissues, and they walk out bouncing and feeling amazing in 60 minutes. And that is from the magic of using QRA and the Premier Research Labs products. And it's simply where people touch their body and then they make this O-ring with their hand. It's symbolic of energy being continuous, just like you see the people doing yoga with their hands like this. So if energy is always in motion, it's never created or destroyed. Each person's body is energy, should be energy. Where there's no energy, eventually there'll be no blood supply and then eventually disease. So when we use the O-ring, the patient makes a circle with their hand. I touch their hand, they touch their body in different places. And sometimes the fingers stay together and sometimes they come apart. Where they come apart, there's no energy in the body. And those are the places we focus our attention on. And it doesn't matter what your lab work says at the doctor's office, we're finding things right away, and then we can treat them right away.
It's truly beautiful when you have that level of access to the just the intuitive knowledge of the body and like how that can really guide health solutions, right, in your practice and beyond. We're focused and this is August 2025 when we're recording this little episode here. I know we'll probably have many more discussions, Julie, but we're talking about nutrition through the life cycle this month. And I wanted to maybe hone in on kind of your philosophy and maybe your own personal story of kind of your life cycle of nutrition thus far. You're truly radiantly healthy. And I think, for our viewers and our listeners, helping them maybe understand, the magic of how Premier Research Labs products and QRA can be applied through nutrition through the life cycle, but also your unique perspective on really what is nutrition through a holistic lifestyle lens, especially for women, because there's so many fluctuations. And I can't actually think of a better person to ask than yourself, kind of on your perspective on that. So would you be willing to share?
Sure. I just want to say first that in my master's degree for nutrition from the number 2 school in the country, they told us that all you need is a Centrum vitamin. And whenever I say that, I usually follow it up with, I already took 100 pills today or 100 supplements. So it's not about a Centrum. You can't get that much nutrition in one little pill. And as the founder of Premier Research Labs used to say, if you wanted to get the vitamin A from one peach when I was born, you would have to eat like 35 peaches today. So just the food doesn't even have the nutrition anymore. So we need mega doses of nutrition just to function and to feel good. And I am so grateful that we have Premier Research Labs products, because they the difference between their products and most of the others is second to none. I can give you the little education that I have been taught and learned a while back, is that they're in Premier Research Labs, they do conception to consumption. So how the basil for your supplement is grown, where it's grown, the water, the air, the soil, when it's picked at peak ripeness. And they even have some special containers they ship it in. And when the basil gets to the lab, most labs, most vitamin companies just do one sample of the basil, and they may have like 50 barrels. And at Premier, I know they take from the top, middle, and bottom of every barrel, and they run it through different tests and the energy tests. I know from Premier Research and one other vitamin company whose products I use a few of, they have both been in contract with suppliers and for years. And then one time the product came and it was paint on top of sugar instead of actual turmeric. And so I think that if the brand who makes the products doesn't do thorough testing, they're not going to find this and send it back. The end user is going to end up eating paint or glass. So one of the independent labs in Oregon has said that they found 50 to 60% of the products that they test have glass, paint, pharmaceuticals, or end-chain hormone disruptors in them. And so a lot of people that are taking supplements and doing what they know they need to do to get healthy, they're taking paint and plastic and pharmaceuticals in on a regular basis. And that's not acceptable. That you would know if you do energy testing on an actual pill or a bottle of supplements, you can see the difference. They don't test well when they have toxic tag-alongs in them. And I show this to most of my patients, and seeing is believing. When they take their favorite supplement and we test it and it has no energy in it, then they don't want it anymore instantly. So it's really just the quality and the caliber. It's like going to New York and eating pizza. Like, you could eat it at 50 different places, but some of it is like out of this world, and some of it you wouldn't even feed to your dog. And so, and makeup and cars, like, think of the different, there's always a difference in caliber. And there's probably 8 to 20,000 new supplement brands every year these days, because everyone knows it's the industry to be in. We all want to be well. And a lot of those companies truly just don't care. And I can give you a simple example. I was at a trade show about 8 or 9 years ago, and it was when Dr. Oz was really popular, and he was talking about some product, raspberry something. I don't even remember the name of it. And the booth that I saw had it. And so I was inquiring, I'm like, but what does it do? And how do you make it? And the guy's like, I don't know. He's like, Dr. Oz says it's good, so we just make it. And the guy himself who worked at the company was like 100 pounds overweight, sweating, just like anything but health, he looks like. And he didn't know anything about how they made the product, what was in it, nothing. And, if you ask anyone that works at Premier Research Labs anything about the product, they know everything about it. And I always tell clients, like, even with snacks and health foods, like, if the company has something to brag about, they put it on the label and they tell you. And you can tell the difference between small mom and pop companies than big manufacturing companies. They just don't care. The small companies take the care and the time, and they actually care about you, and they care about what they put into their product. It's like a chef, like, they're so proud of it. And at Premier, as they grow bigger, they still care. And the difference is in the proof of 99% of my clients feel better instantly. And even when they stop taking the supplements, they feel better. There's no backtracking. It's like you heal something and they're better. If your car says to use unleaded and you put leaded gas in it, I mean, you know, something is not going to be okay. Like, I don't know what, I don't really know that much about a car, but I know that I want to put nutrients into my body that are the kind of nutrients and that my body actually wants. I don't want any toxic tag-alongs or fillers with it.
Amen.
In terms of the life cycle, I have a 20-year-old son, and he was born with Premier Research Labs. Like, I had this mega smoothie. Um, it took me all day to drink. I put like 20 different nutrients in it, and I was just trying to get it in the whole time I was pregnant, just loading my body with good nutrition. And my son is, as I said, he's now 20. He's never been absent from school for illness in his entire history, from preschool all the way through his second year in college. He's never broken a bone. He's never injured himself. Every teacher and coach that he's ever had throughout his entire lifetime has actually made it a point. One of them even wrote me a 2-page email to be so grateful to meet him and to have him on their team. The kids in preschool used to fight over who gets to sit next to him. And I really, I credit this to the nutrition, to the health. He's never been to a medical doctor. He's just grown on nutrition, and most of it is Premier Research Labs. And I've tested him throughout his lifetime. If he had a little bump or bruise, we used mud therapy. We used laser therapy, and he's never used medicine. He's just grown on health. And so he's the case study. He's the unique human that can really, he just exemplifies health, and he's such a delight, and really everyone just loves him. And I think that's the testimony right there. He doesn't like when I talk about him like this, but he is it. He's the proof.
Let's, just first and foremost, thank you for the shout out on our quality standards. And, I believe, when you're talking about quality through the life cycle, it really does require that you have a quality backbone in with a nutrient product, right? That really provides kind of that security and that confidence that it's actually going to really support clinical outcomes that you may be looking to target. But for our viewers here, and maybe, helping just to define it even more granularly, how do you conceptualize nutrition through the life cycle, kind of through the Premier philosophy or your own philosophy when you're looking and supporting a client, right? Because, a lot of times a client comes in and they kind of have an acute need, right? They have something that they're looking to address. But then there's kind of there's the bigger journey, which is life itself. And I think the beauty of, nutrition through the life cycle is helping inform clients and even practitioners that may be listening in, all the different opportunities to really nourish the body to an ideal state of health through every phase of life. And I guess kind of from your perspective, how do you view life cycle nutrition, and how do you thread that into the narrative and how you support your clients?
Well, I think it always comes down to my today body. What's going on in my body now? And so the first thing that I ask people is, do you poop? Do you sleep? Do you get headaches? How do you feel? First, we have to fix today, and then we're looking for longevity. And so in terms of the life cycle, I guess I can give the example. I only ever had a couple of fillings, but I had the mercury fillings taken out 2 years before I was ready to get pregnant. I was just a woman in a relationship of childbearing age, and I thought, this is the time to start getting super clean and my body. And so let me address my health now, thinking ahead for having a baby. And I think for a lot of women, that's not really focused on. They talk about having folic acid, but of course they feed you fake folic acid. And most people get pregnant without knowing. I mean, of course, there's the people that are trying for years, but I think a lot of people just get pregnant and they weren't ready they didn't think about it. They didn't plan it. So as you are an older woman, you need to make sure that your pH is alkaline, that you're pooping, that you're sleeping. Those are just the signs and symptoms. White spots on your fingernails tell us that there's mineral deficiency. So I think for women, it seems more important than for men, no offense, but we have so many dynamics in our life. You guys are just like there. You're there, you provide a function, but we work, we don't work, we have a period, we're off our cycle, we have this we have all of these issues. So it's really important for a woman. And so I've been talking about of childbearing age, but if we really backtrack it to young children, girls, like starting their menstrual cycle way too early. So, I encourage all of my clients to bring their kids. I eventually see their kids, their spouse, their grandkids, get everyone healthy, and everyone's life is easier. It's either wellness now or illness later. Choose what you want to pay for, and wellness is more enjoyable. So spend the time, make sure, ask your kids, are they going to the bathroom? Like, do they poop? If most people are not going to the bathroom every day, and if they are, most of them are only going once a day. Remember when you changed a diaper, it was like 10 times a day. Like the baby was pooping. Like, elimination is the key to keeping well and healthy. Like, just think about your oil change for your car. You do it every 3,000 miles because the oil gets thick and then the car doesn't run as well. So if you're not pooping, you have sludge inside your body. So I start there really with anyone. Make sure you're pooping. Check your skin. If you're having rashes or acne, something on the inside is not going well. Let's get you well now so that as you go through these various cycles in life, they're easier. If it's a young girl and she starts her cycle at 9 or 10, there's something not right there. There's either toxic tag-alongs, there's hormones already in her body, probably from her food, her dairy. So we need to detox her, which sounds strange to detox a 9-year-old girl, but at this stage in our world, we all need to be detoxing. We just need to be good detoxers. We need to have binders. I can go on forever. I don't know if I'm answering the question about the life cycle, but we got to make sure that we're having binders in our diet, like nutrition that binds chemicals and helps us excrete it. We need to put minerals into our body. We know now that minerals are the thing that everyone is so deficient in because our soil's depleted, and that's where we used to get it from our soil. It transferred into food, especially root vegetables. So I make sure that everyone has minerals, everyone has binders, and everyone has some other basic nutrition. And when it comes to kids, I ask the parents, what are they willing to do? If they can't swallow pills yet, will they do powders? Can we do liquids? Can we do topical things? Can we soak them in an ocean salt so that pulls the toxins out of the body? There is a way to do it for each person. So everyone has to really figure out what are they willing to do, and we start there. But we can look, physical things that we can look at are they pooping? We can have them pee on a piece of pH tape and see if it ever gets alkaline. We can see if they sleep through the night, and then we can just look at their body and see if they're well. If you're well today as a 9-year-old, it's going to be easier as you get older. We all know those people that have to stay home from school when they're on their period. That's ridiculous. Or stay home from work when they're on their cycle. All of these things are preventable and treatable very easily.
Yeah. And, I think that you really did actually answer the question kind of in your perspective on nutrition through the life cycle, is that it's actually a day by day kind of philosophy that you're nourishing what your body needs today, because that helps you better prepare for what is ahead for tomorrow, right? And if you're ideally nourished in this present moment, well, then you're not worrying about the next decade of your life because your body is adapting day by day to its needs. And I think that's, a lot of times we kind of get into these maybe headspaces where we're just focused on that next hill that we're going to cross, but the hill that you're crossing is what's going on right in this very moment. And, nourishing for today, I think, is kind of that really true personalized philosophy towards health. You've talked a lot about, some really good strategies, especially for children, and just general strategies to approach health. What's in your practice for somebody that has brought you their child that's really struggling, maybe that's in school or just through those teenage years? What's been one of the most successful strategies that you really encourage other practitioners to maybe evaluate with those kind of teenage years, girls and even boys that may need kind of that next, I guess, a little bit of push to maybe really capture their health potential as a child?
Kids are, especially teenage girls, are picky. You have to have like a rapport with them. That's the place. You got to just start. You got to be like, what sports do you like? Who's your favorite superhero? And I use the superheroes a lot. Like, who do you want to be like? Do you want to be Superman strong, or do you like LeBron? The teenage boys, I can remind them that LeBron has talked about that he spends like $1 million a year on his nutrition and health, and he performs amazing, and it shows. So, the kids like the testing. They love the O-ring testing, and they'll come in and they'll be like, I'm going to be strong today. So I try it on the kids. I try to test them. With the O-ring testing, for those of you that don't know, we've tested it in conferences. You can test it through 9 people. So I could be sitting here, someone puts their hand on my shoulder, someone puts their hand on their shoulder, and then 9 people out, someone tests them, and we get the same results. So with kids, I use the parent. It's just easier and faster. I can do more, but I usually spend a few minutes practicing with the kid. It doesn't matter how little they are. I get them to try. And then some of them only want to be tested, and some of them can't be bothered and just want their parent to do it. So it's partly engaging them and tickling them, like either with your words, or sometimes like I poke on them, and I'm like, where are you sensitive, or where do you have a pain? Like, what do you want in your body to feel better? You really just have to pretend it's like your niece or nephew or something, and like talk to them and just be open to them and say, do you like red or do you like green? Like, why don't we give you a red vitamin? I mean, any vitamin that might help support nutrition is better than none. So even if it's not exactly what they need, I might, if they like red and they're willing to take a red vitamin instead of a green one, I'll go red. Mm-hmm. So I kind of play with them a little bit. I have equipment, I have light therapy and some other stuff in the clinic. So I'll let them use the light. Also, I'll be like, well, if we do this, or you take your vitamins, you can use the laser and get superhero strong.
Some great advice, especially for maybe some practitioners that are struggling with that younger crowd in their office. How does that start to change, especially when you start to encounter women in their 20s and their 30s? Because in my opinion, that's really a catalyst for the rest of their life. I mean, that is kind of the decade that, those 2 decades are really what shapes how you will be healthy in your 60s and your 70s and beyond. And so how do you start to kind of massage and change the narrative? Because obviously maybe the superhero perspective, kind of thought train won't work. So how do you really help people take hold of their health? And then what are some favorite strategies that you like to leverage with people in that decade of their life?
Well, if they've come to my clinic, they're already ready to be well. But unfortunately, the 20-something-year-olds have been brainwashed that they have ADD or OCD or asthma or autoimmune or whatever the box they've been put in and told and said to them 1,000 times. So I remind them that thoughts become things, and we're not going to use those terms. We're just going to say, when I have something that feels like asthma, instead of my, I take the word my out of it, and I am really big on repeating the words correctly in a way. I remind people, only say something that you actually want to be true. So if there's a cancer patient and I am trying to have them say, now I'm healthy, they don't feel true to those words. It's a struggle and they don't believe it. So I have them say, I am so excited to be healthy. And so if someone comes in and talks about their asthma for an hour, I correct them every single time they say my and then asthma. I'm like, when you have asthma or when you're having an asthma reaction. And so we start to soften their mind about the topic. And that really becomes super helpful, because I really just think that generation is just like brainwashed, really, sadly. And when the kids are here, I don't let the parents talk about them in front of the kid. I make the kid go in the other room and play and do something. I don't want the kids hearing, well, when Joey's head aches this and he's got this on his back and this and the doctor said that. Like, that's just drilling it into the kids. So number one is just the thoughts and the words that are being used. I feel that if people come to my clinic, or I also work remote around the world, so people have either been referred to me or they've seen me speak and they're ready to get well, and I resonate with them. So I ask them, what are your goals? What do you want? Like, what's the one most important thing to you? And it could be just to sleep through the night, or it could be to run a marathon. Or the other day I have a 55-year-old woman who just wants to get on an airplane because she has panic attacks and she's stressed out about that. She's thinking about a flight in a year from now already, stressing about it. So we're focusing on the here and the now and the today. And let's get through today. Let's get through a month. And then we're working towards the big picture goal. So sometimes I'm having people think, if someone wants to lose 40 pounds, let's say, I'm like, okay, if you lost 2 pounds a week, that's 20 weeks, which is 5 months. So we make a long-term goal, weight loss by 5 months from now, which let's say was January. We'll just pick a month. But we're in August. So let's look at, what am I going to do to lose a couple of pounds this week? And then I really don't focus on the weight. I focus on, what are you willing to do? So yesterday I asked somebody, a teenager, she is about to be a senior in high school. And I said, what if you did like a 1 week chip detox? Like, it's so easy to eat chips, crackers. There's so many healthy kinds. And this person has a health issue, and they also are a little bit in pain. They're having some pain, and they could probably use to lose a few pounds. So when I first started working in nutrition back in high school, college, etc., we didn't have healthy chips. There was Lay's potato chips or Pringles. So I didn't eat any. And in the last 15 years, there's like Siete and Late July and Simple Mills, and like, you could eat chips all day. It doesn't mean they're healthy, even though they're not healthy for you, even though they're not unhealthy on the label. So I threw it out to this girl, like, what if you did a 1 week no chips or no crackers? And then I also offered her, what if you did 1 week no packaged foods, like you had to eat real food? And I asked her which one she was willing to do, and she wants to do the no packaged foods. So I ask people, like, what are you willing to do? Like, are you willing to not do fast food for a week? I also explain that fast food is having the phone number of a restaurant and ordering a real meal and picking it up on your way home. It's not McDonald's or Burger King or the traditional fast foods. Like, those don't even exist in my world. It's buy a real meal from a restaurant, and usually it's too much food anyway. So it's a lunch and like an afternoon snack, and it might even have a leftover salad for dinner. So you capitalize on that. But so I think the question was like, what do I do for people in their 20s? It's like, what do they want? Like, a lot of people don't think about goals and planning ahead. They know they just don't feel good. So asking them, like, what do you want? And let's work towards that. And one step to that could be, this simple eating healthy, eating not in a package. Because this girl's about to go to college in a year. So I said, you have 1 year to get really good at eating healthy and eating on time. Like, she's working out with her friends. I'm like, you're going to go to college. There's the freshman 15, there's beer, there's up all night, late night eating. There's all the other things college kids do. I'm like, and she has lupus. So we've been working on decreasing inflammation. And So I said, what do you want to work on this year so that you're ready before you go to college? And then that's when I brought it back to like, let's do a 1 week detox of chips or packaged food and go from there.
It's such a beautiful, I love the empowering them to really understand their goals and to vocalize and to materialize those goals into reality. Does that philosophy change at all? I mean, like when you're looking at different generations, like different clients of different ages, are you always really trying to get it into that mindset as a practitioner and really have them empowered to take hold of that? Or do you kind of steer them in a little different direction as maybe different decades of life they're coming in to your office under?
Well, I think each decade is a little bit different for sure, but I am kind of leading the witness, so to speak, in the same type of way. It's like, what do you want? And, I always tell them I'm a teacher. Like, even if you are my best client, I'm not going to be with you for 99% of your life. Like, even if I saw you every single week or twice a week, that's 2 hours out of your, like, I don't know how many hours are in a week, like 1,000. Like, you have to learn and you have to know what works for me. So I also was teaching the girl yesterday about her pulse. Like, if you eat something and your pulse rises, like, that's not a good food for you. Mm-hmm. We just simple little strategies. So we have people on the other side, and here's like the opposite extreme. I have a 75-year-old woman who was a vegan and a vegan chef for 25 years. And by the time I saw her, now I'm working with her, her skin is so dry like an alligator. She can't hear, and she has diabetes. And she was a vegan. She was healthy, right? She's like a healthy person. And she has all these problems. And, now we have her eating animal food every day. It's like we can't heal her fast enough because she's so sensitive. The detox reactions kick in when we do stuff. So I'm telling people that are in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, they don't want to be like that. So start addressing your health now, because if she addressed her health with the first thing, like the diabetes, she might not have had the hearing issue, and she might not have, her skin is literally like hard as a rock, like on her entire body. It's hard. It's a challenge on so many ways. It's a challenge to help her. It's a challenge to be her. And we're working through it, and bless her heart, she's really focused on healing, and so many things are improving in her body. But I do share that little story with people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. Like, you want to take care of your health now. Check your mitochondria, check your inflammation markers, make sure you're digesting. Like, your body is a car, and most people dump their car by 10 years, but you have to live in your body for the next 50 or 70. Take care of it. Like, and you're the only person that lives in your body. Like, your doctor can tell you whatever they want, but they can't feel what you feel. And so I can't even feel what you feel. Like, I can guide you, but you have to be the ultimate one that decides what works for you and what doesn't. I can give you 15 different options. You pick, and let's go there, because we want you to sleep through the night. We want you to feel good, and we want you to have energy and be happy. Like, if all those things aren't in place, people aren't happy. So I definitely, I'm starting people off with their, some of these kind of words, and I have to make sure that their detox organs are working well. So I call it the assembly line. It's a term I coined, and it's your detox system. It's like an oil change in a car. In your body, we have our detox system, and in the world at large, they talk detox like ad nauseum. And they're mostly talking about your liver. Sometimes they're talking about your intestines, but the detox system to me has 11 parts to it. And if you're not addressing all of them, then you're missing the boat on your health. And every single thing, if my elbow hurts, your shoulder hurts, you get a headache, a neck ache, a back pain, all of that, in order for it to heal, your body has to flush everything through your detox organs. So I call it an assembly line, because we all know how an assembly line works. When one guy doesn't show up for work, it backs everybody up. So if you don't poop, you get everything to back up. Your symptoms may be an angry liver, and your liver is the first part. Like, whatever, if toxins come into your body through your mouth, through your skin, or through air, and there's 7 holes in your head, so there's a lot of opportunity for them to come in. As soon as toxins get into your body, they go to your liver. And your liver, it is said, at least where I live in Los Angeles, gets 80,000 hits a day of stress, toxin, chemicals, etc. And so your liver's playing whack-a-mole all day long. And I use the example of like this entire room. Like, this whole room is like the size of your liver. I'm exaggerating, but just for the visual. And then we have to shove, after the liver does its job, it has to shove everything into a small closet to get it to the gallbladder. And so if there's all this stuff shoving it into a closet, you know, the closet that you shove close and you slam the door so nothing falls out, like, you're jamming the gallbladder. So if the gallbladder's jammed, it's going to back up the liver. And on the other side of the gallbladder, to get to the intestines, you know, there's also a small thin tube, so that can get jammed. So any part of the assembly line that's not working, it backs up the other organs. So your problem for life could be the angry liver, but your problem could be one of your kidneys, the other one, your small intestine, your pancreas, your large intestine. So we have to treat the assembly line. In order to keep a human body functioning and working, similar to your car and your oil change, you have to flush the assembly line regularly, detox the entire assembly line. And that's how you stay healthy for life. And if you're 30 or 40 or 60 or 80 and you've never flushed your assembly line, there's no better time than right now, because all of your other ailments and symptoms will improve when there's vacancy. It's like no vacancy in the liver, no vacancy in the kidneys. And so to heal your shoulder pain or your TMJ, like, in order for those to heal, when we work on them, even whether it's massage, physical therapy, light therapy, cryotherapy, whatever you're doing, your body's going to dump it out of there and send it through the detox system. And if there's no vacancy in the liver or in the kidney or the large intestine, the body's going to be like, sorry, jaw, keep your problem to yourself. And so you can't heal. So what I'm working on with people continuously is this assembly line. And I feel that that's the key to a healthy life, is constantly work on the assembly line. If you get massage every week and your kidneys are blocked or sluggish, or there's a scar weakening the kidney, that's a whole other topic, then every time you get a massage, you're just like moving everything from everywhere else in your body and dumping it into that kidney. And the kidney's just like drowning, saying, help, like SOS, like, please help just me. So I have people back off of all the stuff they're doing until they focus on their assembly line and they start pooping and sleeping through the night. And there's really it's not mutually exclusive, like completely stop getting massages, but I have people do a lot more work, like 75% of the work is on their detox organs, and then 25% or less is keep the massage going. And so we work on these detox organs internally through nutrients, topically through castor oil or mud therapy. We can have them soak, as I said, in the ocean salts. We can do light therapy on the organs. I mean, they can meditate on them. They can do other treatments that I don't do on their detox organs. But that's the key throughout the life cycle, is this detox system working optimally.
I love that. And it really is really looking at the entire assembly line of the body for every physiological process and pinpointing where that jam is and just nourishing the body with whatever it's needing, whether that's ideal resonant nutrition or, you know, maybe that's lifestyle, you know, breath work, other types of strategies that kind of complete the picture, right? And allow whether the nervous system or, you know, secondary systems to re-regulate. And so I think it's such a beautiful kind of perspective, right? And it simplifies a very complex being, which is human physiology. I wanted to spend, one of the biggest transitions in life for women is menopause. And it is one of those topics that's surging in just, you know, people seeking help. And I know you yourself, you know, I have it in my mind, you're only 30, but apparently I read you didn't even have one hot flash when you went through your transition. And I would love, maybe some words of wisdom and kind of your perspective taking that assembly line approach for that very big transition in every woman's life through menopause, and kind of your perspective on that, if you're willing to share.
Yeah. So as we brought up, it's like you got to start a little earlier. I mean, unfortunately, if we get someone when they're in menopause and that's the first time they're focused on their health, that's the first time we do what we have to do. Hot flashes in general are estrogen flashes. And so when you have enough gut bacteria, they bind the excess estrogen and you poop them out. So there brings us back to got to be pooping. And we also need to make sure the intestines are well balanced with the flora, the microbiome. As simple as taking the microbiome product from Premier Research or the probiotic. And I have a lot of people take both. Sometimes if I have the opportunity to test people, sometimes it's one or the other, but get your gut intact and the rest of you is going to feel better. So starting with as simple as the right probiotics, and it's so confusing these days. There's 500 different kind of probiotics out there on the market. And of course, we've discussed some of them are crappy, some of them work. I feel like just the name microbiome is like, that says everything. It's like, we know by now there's a microbiome in the gut and it affects your brain and your nervous system. So at least start with the microbiome. And I also want to talk for just a second about quantity when you're taking supplements. Just because you take it doesn't mean it's enough. I had a woman who is postmenopausal, and we did an inflammatory test on her, and the marker should be 3-to-1 of omega-6 to 3, and she was 50-to-1. And so her body was incredibly inflamed. And she said to me, by the way, I've been taking those DHA from Premier Research Labs, 2 of them a day for the past 2 years. And I said, well, this is a friend, not a client, so I didn't have the opportunity to test her regularly. I said, well, 2 wasn't enough for you. Like, you probably need 5 or 6. And that's why we need help and support and practitioners and someone to check in on us, because just because you're taking the product doesn't mean you're taking enough. So, customize to your unique body and your unique today body. And when I say today body, it's because I'm treating you or me or somebody today, and we should heal the issue. That's how health should be. It doesn't mean that you take microbiome today and then tomorrow you add in 3 more products, and the next week you add in 5 more, and the next week 5 more, because you're addressing different issues. We can rotate things. We address a problem, we heal that, it's not as much of an issue, and then we move on to other problems or aches or ailments. And it doesn't mean we never take microbiome again if we move on to inflammation, but maybe we take 1 3 times a week so that we have room for other supplements. So it's always about a balance. So anyway, I went on a tangent for a second, but coming back to hot flashes, I truly believe, I'm just going to tell you something else. So I started working with Premier and QRA when I was about 30. And I truly believe that having full EMF remediation, which I learned through one of the doctors at Premier Research Labs, my entire property, my home, my clinic, my car, my wearables, my phones, all my devices being EMF remediated and using mud therapy were the only techniques that I did before I had my telomeres tested, and the telomere being your cellular age. And now I have 15 to 20 other pieces of equipment that I use all the time. But when I tested my telomeres and I was 38 years old, I had the telomeres of an 18-year-old. And when I was 42, I had the telomeres of a 12-year-old. So I reversed my cellular age by like 30 using the right nutrients, mud therapy, and having full EMF remediation. We're in this age now of biohacking and all these devices, and using them doesn't mean you're healing your unique problem in your body. That's the point that I want to make. There's still people doing cold plunge and red light and PEMF and all these fancy things that don't feel good. And so addressing your assembly line, your unique organs and glands and your body is the key. Customization. And so that's what led me to, I didn't even know I was going through menopause other than the changes in my menstrual cycle. Like I didn't feel any different. Nothing ever happened. I didn't have a hot flash. I didn't sweat through the night. I didn't have I didn't have any symptoms. And so it really just came from taking care of my body. The same way you treat your car and you wash it, or, all the different components to your house. Like it's a pain in the butt to be a homeowner. You got to fix something every single day. So give that same amount of attention to your body and treat different parts of you, whatever it is that you need to do. Following through, there's at least 10 different systems in the body, the endocrine system, the digestive system, the nervous system, making sure they're all working. It's a job. And if you want to feel great for the rest of your life, start now, today, whatever age you are, or wherever you're at. Someone said to me something recently about, they're almost 60, and they said, I ruined my life, is the person's words. Cancel. I don't want those words coming out of my mouth. That person said that. And I was like, well, today's the best time to start like improving it. Great. Right now you have this opportunity. You might live for another 20 years. What, you're just going to sit there and wallow for 20 years in your misery, or are you going to start now? And the same thing about your health. Like forget about how much time it might take or the cost, like put those aside. Like you can sit and do breath work. Will just mentioned that. It is said that we release 70% of our toxins through our breath. So do breath of fire for 1 minute. Like everyone can find the time to do that. Forget, if you don't have the money for supplements, just do some things that are free. I have techniques I call tapping and swiping. And I think this is the perfect time to do one of my techniques. Everyone can do these. Take your two hands on the back of your head. They're the occipitals. They're like a little bump on the base of your head before it goes into your neck. And just scratch. Like you could use like that claw kind of thing. Use the claw, and I'm going to encourage you to do this right now too. And just breathe out. Like breathe out like a dragon. We're going to do it just for 1 minute. And you can go towards the middle. It should be softer in the middle where it goes under the skull. A lot of people, it's like a ridgeback dog back there. A lot of people have the opposite. So just keep scratching. You're breathing out as much as you can while I'm talking. And then just relax and just sit quietly for just a moment and just breathe. You can keep your eyes closed if you want. And just feel what happens in your body. It's the subtle body, but that's one of my nervous system resets. It just feels good and just works quickly. You can do it anytime, anywhere, and just breathe. And so we'll ask Will, what do you feel?
I love that technique. I think there's a aspect to where I could feel, you spoke about it, the subtle energy body, but the nervous system kind of realigning in a way that was much more present, right? And, I think you've spoken so much about it in today's talk, and I just want to say thank you for reminding us. It is that level of mindfulness and that subtle awareness of where your body is like really what it's needing in every single moment. And, just by doing that technique, right, there was this aspect to where there's a greater level of presence and awareness and body attunement, right? And so, I think for me, it's now I can make a better decision of like what I need in that next moment, right? Because I'm not distracted by maybe an emotion or a thought or, something that was lingering that was kind of embedded into my nervous system. And that technique was such a great way to just reset, right? And, I think encouraging, whether a practitioner listening into this podcast or a consumer, right? How many nervous system resets do you have in a day? Most of us don't even like how many, I guess the question even for you, Julie, how many times are you doing that to yourself or trying to like be mindful enough to, say, hey, what do I really need right now, right? Are you willing to share maybe for the audience?
Yeah. Absolutely. I have I have one other technique that I do for nervous system reset where you move the eyes. We can do it if you want, but the main thing is that, well, first of all, the body, the assembly line is a huge component of getting the body to work well and correctly and heal, but nothing works in the body at all when the nervous system is in fight or flight. Nothing's working. All your organs and glands are shut down. So if you're living in mind chatter and you can't calm your mind, then none of your organs are working, and you're burning through nutrients, and you're turning the inside of your body into rust. So the first chapter in my next book is the nervous system. Like, we have to get the nervous system calm in order for anything to work. The operating system of the computer, like if the operating system is crashed, you can't use Windows or Word or Instagram or whatever. Like, the computer will not work. And if the car doesn't have what it needs, the car won't start. But the human body perseveres, and we just get up, but we feel horrible, or whatever the words are for each individual. But we're all of our things are not working. Our operating system is off, and our alternator and starter aren't working, or we don't have enough oil in the engine. But we're alive and we're moving. So unlike robots and devices, we're still here, but we have to get our operating system on. So the operating system of the computer and whatever the operating system is of the computer, our operating system of our body is our nervous system. And as simple as that little technique, and use it 3, 5, 6 times a day. I have people set alarms like every day at pick a time, 12 noon, like don't schedule any meetings from 12 to 12:15. I'm going to do the nervous system reset. I have them do a 1-minute breath of fire. I might have them do tapping and swiping. Some other techniques I call body talk, some words of affirmation, looking in the mirror, going into the bathroom at work and just like flipping upside down and shaking out your head and just breathing and just like take a moment. I call it a personal healing moment. And I have about 10 to 15 different things you can do during that moment to reset. We reset our phone, we reset our computer, everything works like all better. Wow, that was amazing. All I had to do was power it down. So when are we going to reset ourselves so that everything else works better? We just have to plan for it, because otherwise we're like all day. So I might do nervous system reset 5 times in a day because I make my clients do it and I do it with them. I have yoga teachers and other types of therapists that said, I'm going to teach my clients, and that way I'm going to do it more often. I'm like, great, spread it. Like, go teach it to 50 people in a yoga class and let them tell their boyfriend or girlfriend or child. Like, everyone should be doing this, because we're, as a society, nervous wrecks. And like the Wi-Fi and the devices and like the amount of homework kids have, like the amount of work people have at their jobs, like everyone's running on fumes. So if we could just take a minute to reset, everything gets like this moment of calm, and then you have more clarity. And to just give a couple of more pieces of info on the nervous system, we're either living in fight or flight or rest and digest. So if you're not in rest or digest, you're in fight or flight. And the example of that is you're running to save a bear is chasing you, and you are running so hard to try to save your life. All of your organs shut down except for your adrenals. And then when you're done and you're safe, you're just exhausted and worn out, and your adrenals get burnt. And so it doesn't mean your other organs come back online. You have to do something to bring them back online. And so I have people take a couple of breaths before they eat. Actually, I don't know if you know this, Will, but when you put the Q disc on your phone, which turns your phone from killing you into healing you, and thankfully you've made them so thin now. I don't even have the latest one is even thinner. When you take your phone and you put a Q disc on it, and you put your phone on top of your head, and you take 3 breaths, every organ, gland, chakra, meridian, and energy channel in your body turns on, And I will have people do this instead of the QCI vial. Often I use this now to just show people you have a healing tool with you at all days once you put this sticker on your phone. And I have people do this before they eat, before stressful meetings, and take a few breaths. It's that easy. And something I'll just throw in is, even yesterday I found a woman who one of her teeth was throwing off her small intestine. And so this has happened many, many times. And the woman with dry skin had teeth issues also throwing off her organs. So every time after they eat, they have to reset. And so put a Q disc on your phone and use it as a tool to heal your body and turn on all your organs and glands.
I love that you're sharing that with our audience, because it's honestly the wisdom that needs to be shared with the world, right? The aspect that, there's the ability to ground yourself, reset, and recharge at any given time, given that, once you have your field in alignment and the technologies around you are working for you, right? You can enter the state of coherence, right? Which then allows you to make the next best move for what you actually need, which is, nutrition through the life cycle, because it's nutrition of today. And I think, reframing that mindset of, you're not taking that macro view, but you're really taking a micro view, looking in moment by moment awareness of what you really, really need, whether that's you need a meal, whether that's you need to say something that's on your mind, right, and get an emotion, whether that's you need to go ground, whether that's you need to breathe, right? And these could be very accessible tools, right? It doesn't necessarily mean a supplement. That really allows you and your client to take hold of health. And I think that what's more beautiful than that, right? And I just want to say thank you for spreading that. I think that's a gold mine of information. If you had to recommend one product for longevity here at Premier Research Labs, I know we have a lot of different products, but whether male, female, just one product that you feel has been most life-changing to really help people take charge of their health, what would that product be?
It was a funny question, because as you were talking, I was about to say, whenever people ask me, what should I take for blank? I'm like, get a Q disc. That's really the number one most important thing, because the devices are killing you. They're the things depleting you of minerals, electrolytes, nutrients, and antioxidants. They're the things that are frying your brain and causing all of your health problems. So my one product would be, put a sticker on your phone and call it the simplest solution for health ever. Aside from that, I would say chlorella, the Medi-chlorella, because the planet is filled with toxins, and that seems to be the thing that every person needs at whatever age they're at. Children all the way through adults need chlorella. And unfortunately, I would have to package it with CoQ10, because most people need extra support from CoQ and antioxidant support, nutrient support when they're detoxing, in order to make the chlorella work even better. If I was going to say, I would say another product, if it wasn't going to be internal, would be MediSoak, because it's really easy to soak. In fact, most of the time when I'm on a Zoom or a call, I soak, and I have my clients do the sneaky things to just get it done. Multitask.
Do a foot bath, right? Maybe everybody working from home should be doing foot baths on Zoom calls, and they'd be much more grounded.
100% of the time, as much as possible.
Yes. I love that. What's your, I know we're wrapping up a little here, but I would love kind of your perspective and your, your dream for, really how the world changes in the next decade, and really what the health narrative evolves into. Because as you pointed out early in the conversation, biohacking is kind of the term of the decade, and everybody, wants to be involved in all these biohacking strategies. But, as we've alluded to, right, longevity and nutrition through the life cycle and really defining health for your life doesn't necessarily require all of those biohacking strategies. And so maybe if you're willing to share your dream of where you would like to see the world be in 5 to 10 years, I think that'd be a great way just to close this out.
Yeah. Well, I am finishing up a book that I feel will change the way everybody looks at their health, and it will include a lot of things we've talked about today, and mud therapy and addressing our scars and traumas, emotional and physical. So that's where I feel like we'll be. I think right now I'm slightly disappointed in the biohacking community and world, because it's kind of turning into another variation of the pharmaceutical industry, where it's like just a lot about money and not necessarily about quality and care. And so where I would like to see it is where more people have access to QRA practitioners, functional medicine, holistic energy medicine, where it's more of the norm and the staple. I don't, maybe health insurance would cover it. Maybe that would be like a far stretch, but where more people would realize that what I do is not a quack. I'm not a quack. And all these strange, weird things I have people do are actually the things we need to do. So I would like to see that. And I think we're moving in that direction, because I've been doing what I do on this level for the last 25 years. And now I'm sought out. Whereas before everyone was like, oh, she's a weirdo. The bigger thing that I would really like to see is that there's no more chemtrails and that we have clean air and clean water. Those are my goals. Clean air, clean water, so that we can have clean food. And then life won't be such a struggle for so many people. So a combination of that with more access. So like these podcasts and this information is kind of coming into being the norm, because I feel like the quality of what we talk about here is not as well known anymore. Well, we're getting more and more well known, but the biohacking community took us on and like became a storm. And I still see I see clients that are doing all the biohacking stuff. They don't have a sticker on their phone. They don't feel good. People are still dropping dead of random problems, even though they were like so into health. So the missing links are the pieces that I feel some of what we talked about today, and that Premier Research and Labs and QRA are the missing pieces of what everyone else is, all those things they're doing, they're missing what we offer. And I would like to see us be as well known as what the biohacking industry is right now.
I would agree. Yeah. I mean, it's the beauty. I feel our philosophy in a lot of ways allows for the deep integration of self, because we're holistically nourishing all aspects of the body, right? And that allows, the individual to really define health for themselves, right? And it's because of what's innate to them, and their body now has access to that, right? And so, Julie, I just want to say thank you for truly being a steward of health and supporting your clients far and wide. For audience members that were listening in and would like to, reach out to you or get involved with you, how can they do that?
My website is julieehealth.com, and my social media is Julie E Health. So 2 E's next to each other and 3 total. I do have a page called Free Tools and Techniques, with a few videos where you could see the nervous system reset, the tapping and swiping, and a few others on my website. I have courses on my website where you can learn some of the things I talk about. And there's a whole do-it-yourself section where if you don't have the means or the time to have a session with me, you could still walk through steps 1 through 8 of what I would do with someone. It's a tiny bit less customized, obviously, but the first few steps really will be life-changing for you. So julieehealth.com, I love to help anybody anywhere in the world. You can buy those courses and read the information. And, I truly hope that everyone gets healthy.
Well, Julie, thank you so much. And for everybody that was listening in, thank you for joining us for this Premier Living podcast. We'll look forward to our next episode. But Julie, thank you again for everything that you're doing to nourish the world to a healthier and more radiant tomorrow. And I'll look forward to our next episode, hopefully in a very near future. So Julie and everybody listening in, thank you. and have a great rest of your day.